Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag. This is your mailbag show where all we do is take your questions that you've emailed to us. Now, look, before we go any further, I'm going to let you know, if you've got a topic or a question, email them to us. And you can email them to us at, not my Facebook page, not my Twitter page. You can email your questions to amcmovietalk@gmail.com. My name's John Campy. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News and the host of our regular AMC Movie Talk during the week. But we get so many email questions from you guys that we decided to start a mailbag show on the weekends just to take mailbag questions. So I got a couple people here with me today that are going to answer your questions with me. First of all, she's one of the hosts of AMC Movie Talk. She's Miss Ellen Darling. How you doing, Ellen?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today, John?
Very, very good. Thank you so much. And also joining us today, he's the one, the only, the director of the upcoming The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You're gonna die someday.
How's it going?
You're gonna die someday.
What an ominous greeting.
So profound. So absolutely profound. All right, so let's not waste any time. We'll get into the first question. And our first question today comes to us from Michael Woods, who writes, "Hello, guys. All of you are awesome, and I love the show." Well, thank you so much, Michael. I was wondering why you guys haven't talked about the Bad Grandpa trailer. The trailer is tear-jerkingly hilarious, and I would love to know your thoughts on it. Well, Michael, first of all, never ever question me. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's been an oversight. It's been an oversight, actually, talking about the trailer. Schnepp, have you had a chance to see this trailer yet?
I've watched it about 6 times. It's so hilarious. I can't wait for it to come out. It just, seeing it makes me smile, and I cannot wait to see it 100 times.
Aaron, have you seen it yet?
I have seen it, and I'm not very impressed. I'm not a huge fan of Jackass or really Johnny Knoxville that much, although he was pretty funny in The Last Stand. But I just have to say I'm not stoked about this trailer or this movie, although it could surprise me when I go see it. I wouldn't outrule it, but I'm not putting it on the top of my list.
I got to tell you, I am not a Jackass fan at all. And then that Jackass 3D movie came. And that was the last one, right? Jackass 3?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That killed me. That Jackass killed me. Like the other two, I didn't find funny. I didn't find exciting. I didn't find interesting. Not at all. But Jackass 3, I don't know why. It slayed me. Completely slayed me. I loved it so much. I could watch that like once a month. I don't know why. I found it hilarious. And, when I first heard about this Grandpa film, Bad Grandpa, I thought, I don't want to watch a movie that's just all Jackass stunts, but just done with the grandpa. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is more of a Borat-style movie than a Jackass-style movie, really. And I'm telling you, that one clip in the trailer, when the kid's talking to the woman, is like, what's your stripper name?
Yeah,
and she
Cinnamon.
goes, you think I'm a stripper? And he's like, I'll just call you Cinnamon, or whatever he calls her. Like, I just thought it looked... It's funny. It's a funny trailer. I mean, to me, it's a funny trailer. So while there's a part of me that thinks it's going to really suck, I wasn't going to give it a chance before, but now I'm going to give it a chance. Like, was there anything in that era that made you think, maybe I'll give this a shot, or did it really just not appeal to you that much?
No, there's a part of me that thinks this is going to suck, and that part of me is my brain.
Well, all I have to
or
say
my
about
whole
that,
soul, maybe. I just don't think it looks good.
There's always one movie out of the Jackass movies or an episode that will turn you. And it was like, I remember when I first saw clips of Jackass, it was like they were like vomiting eggs on each other, and I was like, I'm not going to watch this. And I don't remember which episode it was that made me start laughing out loud, and then I was a convert. So, Aaron, you prepare to get converted and be stoked, is all I can say.
I'm always willing to go the dark side, but this is kind of a stretch for me, so I'll keep an open mind. But that being said, I'm not stoked for it.
All right. Well, having an open mind is all we can do. Let's move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us from Frank Foster. And Frank writes, "Hey, guys, love the show. I just wanted to know your thoughts on Ellen Degeneres as the host for the 2014 Oscars. I want to know your thoughts of Ellen Degeneres as the host for the 2014 Oscars. I had a little conversation today with Aaron Darling about this. And it started today with this. I got a tweet this morning, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was that tweeted to me. That said, John, prepare to go into absolute murderous rage when you read the news this morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? Something about Batman? I don't know. They cast Pauly Shore as Batman, or I don't know, like what they were going to do. So, and I go hesitantly to my news feeds and I start to look at it, and what do I see? Ellen Degeneres is being brought back to host the next Oscars. Now, to give you a little background of information, without exaggeration at all, the Oscars are my second favorite day of the year. There's Christmas, there's the Oscars, and then there's my birthday. And it's in that order.
Oscars before your birthday?
The Oscars come before my birthday, believe it or not. So that's how important the Oscars have always been to me. I mean, every year I throw an Oscar party. I love the Oscars because I've grown up with the movies being my ultimate, my drug. That's what my drug has always been, is the movies. And so the big day, the biggest day on the movie calendar, celebrating the year that was in movies, that's always been my big thing. And when Ellen DeGeneres hosted the Oscars before, somewhere a baby angel died. Ellen DeGeneres is the worst host in the history of the Oscars. Now, you may be a fan of Ellen's, of her stand-up comedy or her talk show. I don't watch her show, but I've seen a few clips because somebody say, hey, when she had so-and-so as a guest, it was really funny. And I watch, and hey, I'll give credit where it's due. She's pretty good hosting her own talk show. But she is the worst host in the history of the Oscars. I would take James Franco and Anne Hathaway. I would take that debacle again before taking Ellen DeGeneres again. This is a monumental collapse in judgment on the behalf of the producers of the Oscars. This is, I'm at a lack for words. I'm at a lack for words. This is so monumentally stupid and moronic. And basically, I'll say it, Oscar producers, you're idiots. You are absolute idiots. Thank you for ruining my second favorite day of the year. And I put this on my Facebook page, and I'm not kidding. This will be the first Oscars in my lifetime that I remember, because, I can't remember when I was 2. But this will be the first Oscars in my lifetime that I do not watch. I'm telling you right now, I am not going to be watching the Oscars this year because they chose, not made a mistake, they chose to bring back the worst host in Oscar history. And so, and I know there are going to be fans of Ellen who jump to her defense. Look, that's great that you love her in whatever context she's in. I'm not speaking ill of her in any other way. But for when it comes to hosting the Oscars, nobody has ever done a worse job. And the fact that they're bringing back, can you tell? I'm very upset about this. I've taken this very personally.
I can tell.
Aaron,
I can see you're a little upset.
Yeah. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah.
You know what? I would beg to differ. I don't think she's the worst thing that's ever happened to the Oscars because in 1989 there was no host. If you guys remember, but there was an opening number with Rob Lowe and Snow White.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
That was the worst thing to happen to the Oscars.
Ding.
Ellen, I like her. I think she's funny. I think she's smart, and she's great off the top of her head. Not only that, but she'll have writers. There's going to be people that help her, and I really don't think that she is the worst thing. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Oh,
you're going to hate me for saying that?
Snap. Way in here.
All I can say is, I am not evil. Do not hate me when I come and eat your children on Oscar night. You know what? I'm not a big, I talked to John about this. I'm not the biggest Oscar fan. So, I got a recap from him with the whole Seth MacFarlane thing. And I'm like, I watched the James Franco, Anne Hathaway horror bomb, whatever that thing was. Remember watching that? So I'm in the middle somewhere. I might tune in and watch some of it, and if it's funny or not, I don't know. But I'm sorry that you're so upset about it, John, because for someone who really loves the Oscars, I hate to hear that your night's ruined. But in the same breath, I liked Finding Nemo. So
yeah, hey, look, and that's the thing. I love her doing the voice in Finding Nemo,
Yeah.
and looking forward to her coming back for the sequel, Finding Dora. I am. I don't want people to misinterpret my absolute disgust over this decision as an overall, conviction of the totality of the personhood of Ellen DeGeneres. Not at all. But just in this one look, I would have been equally upset if they announced that I was hosting the Oscars. Like, are you freaking idiots? I am going to ruin this thing, and I would be just as upset. But clearly, I think I'm a pretty good guy other than that. And like I said, this is not a commentary on anything else to do with Ellen DeGeneres. Just, I hated and detested the job she did on the Oscars. So.
Did she? I'm sorry, I didn't see the last time she did the Oscars. Did she make everybody dance? Like get Jack Nicholson to dance with Halle Berry?
Oh my god!
Did that happen?
She did this thing where, if I'm remembering it right, like she went out into the crowd. Like it's almost like my mind is blocking it out, like being abused as a child or something. Uh-huh. But like she went into the audience with a vacuum cleaner and was, I don't know, knucking elbows with Clint Eastwood. It's just so bad. And her comedic timing was so bad. And everything about it was painful. So, anyway.
I make it up. Maybe she's going to rock and roll.
I feel like the things that you're listing right now, John, are things that could be ameliorated. And I think there's fixes to those problems. I don't think that she might always be that bad.
You know what would have been another fix to the problem? Getting somebody else. That would have fixed the problem, too. All right, let's jump on down to the next question. The next question, our third question of the day, comes to us from Kevin Jang. And Kevin Jang writes, "Hey guys, obsessed with the show. Enough said. Okay. Because there really isn't much solid information to base anything around, people will speculate just about anything about Man of Steel. I think that's good. It's getting the publicity that it needs since I loved Man of Steel. Here's the question. Many are convinced, understandably, because Goyer said so himself, that the movie is going to be called Batman vs. Superman or Superman vs. Batman. If this is the case, does this title do justice for do justice, get it? Does this title do justice for the 2015 blockbuster, or would you rather it have a cooler name? So, Aaron, let's start with you on this. What do you think about the name? Should they go with Batman versus Superman or Superman versus Batman, or would you want to see some other kind of title?
No, this is so lazy. And you know what? This is the second installment of Man of Steel, and I feel like they could really develop that story a little bit further. And I think they're jumping the gun. We don't need Batman and Superman yet. I feel like that would be the third installment, or maybe the fourth, or maybe a standalone movie. And I really don't like this idea. I know that a lot of people are so excited, and Comic-Con was like the biggest announcement, but I think that they're really, really rushing this. I'm worried about that movie. I don't like the title. I think that it's just kind of lazy, and I'd rather have them spend some time thinking of something more creative or more indicative of what the story is going to be. I know I would appreciate that more.
Schnepp?
Batman versus Superman Triumphant. Superman versus Batman Forever. Batman versus Superman, The Quest for Peace. You know what? Superman versus Batman, they could just, I don't know what they're going to eventually call it. The Dark Knight versus the Man of Steel, kids having fun, breakfast part 7, just them having some Cheerios. Batman versus Superman is fine. Superman versus Batman. All I care about is that it's awesome, that the movie itself is great. I mean, I'm going to see it. I kind of agree with Aaron that they're rushing Batman in. I would have much rather seen just Man of Steel 2 with just Superman, develop that character a little bit more, throw Brainiac in there, get Lex Luthor going. There's an entire world there that we don't need Bruce Wayne and Batman in, but since they've already announced it and it is happening, then I'm just going to go with Rocket with Batman versus Superman or Superman. I don't care what it's called. I just want it to be really good. So,
see, I'm going to differ with you on both of this. I don't think they're rushing this in the least. I think, rushing it would have been doing this movie 20 years ago, but today, nah, this isn't rushing it. I mean, think of it this way. When let's say Star Trek, Wrath of Khan came out, the original, okay? You could say bringing in Khan is rushing it. Well, I mean, that was a movie that introduced Khan, brought him into the movie,
right?
Developed him, made him a fearful villain, and then ultimately his defeat by the end of that same movie. It was all done in one film. Yep. When we're looking at Man of Steel, I mean, Man of Steel had his movie. He did great in it. And I think this is a great time to introduce Batman. I mean, I really don't see... I'm going to go the opposite of you. I would think delaying it would just be a pointless waste of time. I really don't see why you can't introduce Batman, bring him in, and develop Lex Luthor on the side, start to introduce him and what he's going to do. Look, Avengers had eight main characters. 8 of them. Star Trek has like a cast of 7 or 8 people that are all significant players in it. Right. You can have Man of Steel. You can bring in Batman, especially if they're going to go with that rumor that we talked about on AMC Movie Talk yesterday about how Batman is not going to be a new superhero. He's going to be in his 40s. He's going to be a seasoned warrior. He's going to be at this a long time. So we don't need a 45-minute drudged out, origin story. So you can do all that and develop other characters at the same time, and you can do that all in the context of one film. So I think this is a great time for it. I don't think it's rushing it. As far as what I think they're going to title it, I'm basing this on nothing, okay? This is all speculation. I believe when it's all said and done, this movie's going to be called Man of Steel, World's Finest. That's what I think they're going to call. I think they're going to keep the Man of Steel. I think their titling of this movie is going to highlight that this is a Superman film with Batman. Right. It's not a Justice League film. It's not a World's Finest film. So I have a feeling it's going to be Man of Steel, or semicolon, World's Finest.
I like that. I mean, they could just go with World's Finest, and I'd be happy with that, too. That's actually, to me, World's Finest is better than Batman versus Superman, but,
Yeah, I'd be good for it, too. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us from Anthony. And Anthony writes... Hello, John and crew. In your previous videos, John, you talked about how Robin wouldn't really work on the big screen in a serious way. But with WB trying to establish a big DC cinematic universe, I do not think that they can ignore Batman's sidekicks for much longer, as they are part of the DC universe as well. I think Robin is going to work this time because Batman is supposed to be in his late 30s to early 40s in the next film. Technically, that means Dick Grayson would be a young man at this point, going into the role of Nightwing. I know the sidekicks won't be in the Man of Steel sequel, but Batman should at least make a reference to Robin in his next film to set up the next solo Batman films. What are your thoughts? Well, my thoughts haven't changed. Yes, you can say Robin and the sidekicks are a part of the DC universe. Yes. So is Plastic Man. Plastic Man is a part of the DC universe.
I love Plastic Man.
Oh, who doesn't love Plastic Man? I mean, right?
I want Plastic Man in Justice League.
I
love Plastic Man.
But I think we can all agree we probably aren't going to see Plastic Man in this
Jim
particular
Carrey's too old now.
Cinematic universe. I don't think it's going to happen. So yes, in the comic books, remember, these are not the comic books. These are the movies. In the comic books, Robin and the sidekicks have a role in the DC universe. Yes, but I don't believe they have a role in the DC Cinematic Universe. But I will concede this, that with the concept of them starting Batman as a 40-ish-year-old guy who's been at the war for a long time, I'll concede this point. It does ever so slightly open a small crack in the door that perhaps, foregoing Robin completely, a Nightwing exists. And if they could figure out a way to bring in Nightwing, completely ignoring and just throwing out anything to do with the Robin motif and the fact that Batman is actually a child abuser who brings 13-year-old children into harm's way, if you can get rid of all that and just introduce Nightwing, I'd say there's a possibility. But at the same time, I'd say this. Nightwing is about 25th on the priority list. You got to get Wonder Woman in there long before you get Robin. You need to get Aquaman in there long before you get Robin. You need Martian Manhunter long before you get Robin. There's about 15 to 20 other characters that you need long before Nightwing. And sorry, Batman doesn't need a sidekick. The movie cinematic universe Batman has proven in the Nolan universe, he doesn't need a Robin. He just doesn't. So I'm going to stick by my guns in this. I think of Robin look, I love Robin in the comic books. I love Robin in the animated stuff, in the early animated stuff. this is not a diss on the Robin character, but he wouldn't work in a real live action film at all. Not in this cinematic universe. So I'm sticking by my guns on that. Schnepp, what do you think?
I believe that Robin should never be in the movie cinema. Ever!
Where do you get this stuff?
I don't think. I think I'm going to stick with our conversation from a couple weeks ago. No Robin in the movies. No Teen Titans. That works as a cartoon. I just think, or just make it as a CW TV show. Teen Titans. Get Nightwing in there. Have Robin jumping around. Put Damian in there. You know, get all the 5 different Robins jumping around having fun. They could all have lunch. I just don't. It's not going to fit. I'd rather see Superman and Batman. He doesn't need a sidekick, and he doesn't need to reference a sidekick either. I think it is weird.
I agree. Aaron, what do you think?
My 13-year-old Ward is off at school. I'll make sure he's getting bullets shot at him tonight. You know?
Aaron, what are your thoughts on having a Robin or a Nightwing in the cinematic universe?
Well, I mean, we've seen Robin and Batman before. A lot of people didn't like that. And I have to say that the whole Dick Grayson to Robin to Nightwing, that's a whole story in and of itself. And I think if they want to do that, it could be an origin film, or it could be something else independently. Whether or not they want to incorporate that character or what stage of that story they want to bring him in, I mean, I think it requires a lot of explaining, and they can either work on that independently or just drop him in somewhere. But either way, I think it'd be difficult to find a way to really incorporate him in a way that'd be well done.
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and offend some people, but Robin is a character for children. Robin is a character for children, and that's why when you're on the Toon Network and CW, you see those Robin in his little Teen Titan cartoons that are for 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
For 7-year-olds. And if they want to make an animated film for 7-year-olds, I'm totally fine. Grown-ups watch Batman. I can't believe I said that. Grown-ups.
Yet somehow I agree with you.
Grown-ups watch
I see what you're saying.
Batman. Children want Robin. So... If my mother could hear me now, grown-ups watch Batman. Yep. Is it a shock I never got laid a lot as a kid? Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next topic. And the next question comes to us from Jacob Van Houten, who writes, "Hey guys, I have been watching the show for a long time. You and I both agree that Christopher Nolan should have won Best Director at the Oscars for Inception." Actually, Jacob, I don't agree with that. I don't think he should have won, but I do think he should have been nominated, at least, which he wasn't. Anyway, but with his new film coming out, do you think this could be his Oscar domination film? Talking about Interstellar. With the cast of Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, Matthew McConaughey, Casey Affleck, Mackenzie Foy, Michael Caine, John Lithgow, Ellen Bernstein, Topher Grace, and Wes Bentley, and the film coming out in November? This is not only a stellar cast, but it's coming out during the Oscar movie buzz season. Could this be the film that gets Christopher Nolan some Oscar buzz? I'll tackle this one first. Yeah, it really could. I mean, we haven't seen the film, so we don't know. I mean, Interstellar could suck. There's a possibility that the Christopher Nolan film Interstellar could suck. But even though I have some issues with Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan has yet to make a movie that sucked. Almost all of them are completely brilliant. This cast is unbelievable. I love the inclusion of Matthew McConaughey in it, by the way. You got some of the world's best actors and actresses in there with a really cool sounding twisty sci-fi story. But let's not get ahead of ourselves because we really don't know anything about the movie yet. But yeah, if you're going to say, hey, just based on nothing, but the fact that it's Christopher Nolan with this cast aiming for a November release, it sounds to me like, number one, it could be an Oscar contender, and number two, the studio believes it could be an Oscar contender. And that's always a good sign. So if I had to put money on it right now before seeing the movie, yeah, I'd say, yeah, this year we're going to see Christopher Nolan get nominated for Academy Award for directing. Schnepp, what do you think?
It's just too early to tell. I mean, I actually have to see the movie before I can. I mean, I think the question is very leading, saying that the person who asked the question, Van Houten, thought that Inception should have won. I definitely don't think Inception should have won an Oscar. So I can't possibly think just because it has a great cast. I've seen tons of movies that have amazing cast that blew hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but Christopher Nolan is a great filmmaker, so I'm sure the movie itself is going to be really fun to watch. I really loved Inception. Was it an Oscar-winning film to me? No. But was it a great film to watch and see it again? Yes. So I'm sure Interstellar will be in the same vein for me. But once again, until I actually see it, I can't make any kind of, well, it should get the Oscar nomination just because it's Christopher Nolan. I can't do it. So,
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I disagree with you guys a little bit because I don't have to see it. I already know if Topher Grace is in it. That's just gold.
If Topher Grace is there.
Does anyone else feel like his name should have been like the last on the list?
I thought you were going to say
all these
first.
Amazing actors. Oh, and Topher Grace. Just kidding, Topher. If you're watching, you're great. But I do have to say that I feel. Okay, great cast. Jessica Chastain is kind of on fire right now. She can do no wrong, in my opinion. I think even just having her name attached is, I think we're pretty much guaranteed to see a little bit of Oscar buzz there. But again, I don't know much about the film because we haven't seen anything about it yet. But you can't disagree that this cast is stacked. So that's always a good thing when it comes to the Academy Awards.
All right, and let us go now to the final question of the day. And our last question today comes to us from Joshua Harold, who writes, "Hi, John, love the show. I was wondering, in the new Star Wars movies, can we expect to see any actors from any of the J.J. Abrams TV series in the movie?" You know what, Joshua? That's not a far out there question. At all. I mean, especially when you look at the number of shows that J.J. Abrams has had a hand in, and how many of those actors are still kicking around and have a really good career going. I'd say that the chances are pretty good, and I have no problem with that, and here's why. I've always said on a set, now, Schnepp, I haven't directed nearly as much as you have, but I've always thought as a director that on set, the most important thing going on a set is the chemistry between the director and the actor, and how the director can get certain things, and how the director can know how to get a certain performance out of an actor and get the best out of them at a particular time. And to have history is nothing but a benefit. I mean, I think that's why we've seen guys like Scorsese always worked with De Niro, and now always works with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that's why you see Edward Scissorhands' boy, Tim Burton wanting to work with Johnny Depp. I think that's why you see a lot of these actors, or that why in a modern thing you got Neil Blomkamp likes to work with Charlton Copley.
Or Christopher Nolan, Michael Caine.
In everything.
Yeah.
In everything. And Anne Hathaway now. He went back to Anne Hathaway for Interstellar, right? Yep. So, I mean, number one, I think there's so much stuff. I think JJ has shown that he likes to use people he's worked with before. And I think it's a positive thing as long as the casting is right. Yeah. I think it's a positive thing for a director to take an actor that he has history with and he knows how to get the best out of them. I'm okay with it. Aaron, do you think we could see some Lost or Felicity or Alias cast members showing up in Star Wars?
Absolutely. I think so. I think you see that a lot happen in Hollywood, so I would not be surprised at all. And I really want to see more Josh Holloway. And I would love to see him in a Star Wars role.
It's funny because speaking of Josh Holloway, I just saw him last night.
Did?
Oh, yeah. I was at the press screening for that new Liam Hemsworth, Harrison Ford film, Paranoia. And he plays an FBI agent. I think he's got 3 scenes, but he's in the trailer. I think he's got like 3 scenes in the movie. It's like, oh yeah, that dude from Lost. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about him for a Batman role possibility, but I don't see that happening. So maybe it'll free him up for some Star Wars action. Yeah,
it wouldn't happen. But I wouldn't mind seeing him in a smaller supporting role in Star Wars. Anyway, Schnepp, how do you see this?
Actually, speaking of him as Batman, then he could have all these like funny sayings for "Listen, Blue Boy." He'd come up with nicknames for Man of Steel. Soups, come here for a second. Every 5 seconds. Yo, Chippy, get over here. Yo, Scrimble Blue. Yo, Cape. Yo, Capes, get over here. Where's your underwear? That would just be his Batman. What if J.J. Abrams brings in some Star Trek characters like Chris Pine? No, I think, when you're directing, you develop a language with your actors, and there's a comfort zone, and you know what you can bring. You know when to bring them back down if they're going over 100%, if they're overacting a scene. I mean, the director's there to really help the actor handle the scenes especially if you're shooting out of order, out of continuity. You're their life support, and when you develop a rapport with an actor or actress, I think it's great to keep working with the same people. It's amazing. So I seriously hope anybody he had a great rapport with that he brings on, because it'll only help Star Wars. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is just bodes well if he does. But once again, the most important thing is going to be finding the right fit. Like, don't just put, for instance, Holloway, don't just put him in there for the sake of putting him in there. Yeah. Find a role for him that is actually, hey, yeah, this makes sense, this is a good fit, and then all other things being equal, go with the guy that you worked with before. So I'm totally good with that.
Yeah.
Well, all right, folks, we've crossed the half-hour mark. That will do it for us for this installment of AMC Mailbag here on this very casual weekend. We do the show a lot more casually than we do other stuff. I want to thank, first of all, the lovely Miss Erin Darling. Erin, where can people find you online if they want to find you?
At Twitter, I'm at Erin A. Darling. YouTube, Erin Ashley D. And Facebook, Erin Darling fan page.
The one and the only Mr. John Schnepp. A quick, John, 30 seconds or less. What's the status right now of The Death of Superman Lives?
The status is going really great. We just interviewed Grant Morrison, who was just the knockout interview so far, above and beyond. Wesley Strick and him are the best interview so far, as far as information and amazing storytelling prowess. And wait till you see the things that Grant Morrison said. Wait till you see and hear them, because it kind of goes with the documentary where I'm doing kind of a narrative as well of the history of Superman. So, man, that was one of the best interviews. So it's really moving along great. Good news as far as some of the recreation scenes. I've landed some pretty amazing news for special effects. So even though I didn't reach the stretch goal, I think I'm going to be having some pretty amazing. What? Is that a giant hand?
Bring back the hand! Bring the hand back!
Halt! That's it for me. I can't say anymore. RoboCop's going to shoot me. You can follow me at Twitter, at John Schnepp, and also Instagram.
And you can follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, all at John Campia. So that'll do it for us, folks. We will have another show tomorrow. I think tomorrow's show is just going to be me, and I think I might even try to make it like an hour long. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But thanks a lot for joining us, folks. Hey, listen, if you like this show, do us a favor and click the thumbs up button. That's just a great way for us to see that people are liking the show. But also click on the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, including our daily AMC Movie Talk Show and this weekend AMC Mailbag Show. So thanks again for joining us. My name's John Campia, and until next time, bye-bye.